welcome to a special episode of Observer Retro Streams. Today, we will take you to the source, with RealMyst Part 1. Don't miss Part 2 on August 10th, and stay tuned for time-lapse, coming soon. We regret technical difficulties may impact our schedule in the future. We will bring you updates as they happen. Now, let the show begin.
Hello everyone! This stream is a special one for me because this game shaped my life. One of the first games I ever played was Myst. It came out the same year, on a very special year. Now normally I would do what I always do and do the original, but due to technical issues, I will be handling the remake this stream. And the reason for that, well, the CPU clock beat me and won this time. I'll show you what I mean when I get to that point. Anyway, before we begin, a little note to the other gamers watching this. This particular remake of Myst is the original RealMyst edition from 2000, which was actually delisted from goodoldgames.com. Goodness knows why. And to anyone wanting to try this, if you still have your copy, make sure that this option is checked. Anyway, let's go. It's time to travel back to where this all started.
I realized the moment I fell into the fissure that the book would not be destroyed as I had planned. It continued falling into that starry expanse of which I had only a fleeting glimpse. I've tried to speculate where it might have landed, but I must admit that such conjecture is futile. Still, questions about whose hands might one day hold my Myst book are unsettling to me. I know my apprehensions might never be allayed, and so I close, realizing that perhaps the ending has not yet been written.
So what do you normally do when a random book falls out of the sky without building up atmospheric re-entry friction? Well, I know the answer, but before we begin, I understand the whole premise is not knowing where you are and why we're here or what's going on, but I have the experience of this in the back of my hand, so I'm going to go and use material from the sequels to shed a little light on what this is, where we are. Where we are is the New Mexico desert before it was colonized in the year 1806. They don't explain that until the sequel, but considering just how many remakes this had, I don't feel too too shameful about it. It doesn't really impact that much. So what kind of book is this? Well, what do you know? A book with an animated picture. So what's the first instinct when you encounter one of those? And voila, it actually took us to what it depicted. Well, at least better than a Horcrux. Can't quite... Hard to say if this is a legitimate island or a theme park because there's definitely man-made structures about. First rule of an adventure game is click on everything. One thing I want to note about this particular remake... Actually, every Myst remake as a whole was used as a test bed by Cyan towards their future games. So the engine for this remake, which I think was called Plasma, was brought towards the 2003 game Uru, and likewise their latest one in 2024 was the Unreal 5 engine towards their game Firmament. And there's a letter here. Catherine, I've left for you a message of utmost importance in our four-chamber beside the dock. Enter the number of marker switches on this island into the imager to retrieve the message. Yours, Atris. Well, these are like switches, so I guess we should keep track of them. The original version of Myst relied on pre-rendered nodes like this. And as you can see by the black border, it was even smaller than 640 by 480. Wait, what's this Greek-looking building I passed over? Looks very important. An octagonal room in a square building. That makes sense. And this looks like a map. We passed the marker switches along this path, so maybe if we keep flipping them, we'll see more of the map. So I want to deal with that first. That's an interesting place to stow a rocket. Well, it's definitely no pop rocket. I'll explore these buildings in more detail when they actually become pertinent. Can't quite get to this clock tower yet. And a cardinal rule of any Myst game or clone thereof is that a player cannot swim. Water is treated as basically an impassable border. The controls for this interface are you can move the cursor around this square, or move forward and backward with W and S, or the forward and backward arrow keys, and turn left or right with the left arrow keys, but not A and D. And a perk of this being 3D is being able to access parts of the island that you couldn't in the original, such as this. This is the grave of Tiana, whom I happen to know is Atreus's grandmother. It's more obvious in the new remake, but still, it's an interesting touch, because this is a thing that was added after Riven was established, when they had the whole backstory laid down. Alright, so what's the elephant in the room? Well, that's strange. Somebody went and burnt these books. And from the looks of the arrangement, it seems like they burned them one by one, but for some reason, these 5 ones were left intact. And why are these ones singled out? Well, if I had to guess that if the book we used was indeed a portal, then I would surmise that somebody sabotaged these ones so that the connection doesn't work. I wonder... Somebody left these color-coded pages right next to it, so...
Monsieur? Are you? See you. Nah. Help me. Ring. Blue pages.
Ah, so that's what that reference in Obsidian was targeting.
Why? Bring me already. I can't see.
So it looks like there's people stuck on the other side of whatever world these books connect to, and if I had to guess, if we find more pages, they might be able to actually explain something to us, tell us what's really going on, because it doesn't seem there's anyone else here to rely on. Is there? So we counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I don't guess there's 7, and 8 marker switches total. So let's follow what that note said. Another hallmark of this remake is real-time weather patterns, so in a few minutes it'll actually be nightfall. Well, I suppose this must be the 4 chamber then. That wasn't a water fountain. That was a hologram. Settings, dimensional imager, topographical extrusion test, marker switch diagram, and water turbulent pool. Ah, so this machine can project in 2D as well as 3D holograms. This might be important later. It actually looks like a map of another world. One moment, please. Now, about that number. About that number. Now, I gotta warn you, this is gonna be an FMV image stretched all the way across this. It looked kind of different in the original, but still.
Catherine, my love, I have to leave quickly. Something terrible has happened. It's hard for me to believe. Most of my books have been destroyed. Catherine, it's one of our sons. I suspect Agonal, but I shouldn't leap to conclusions. I'll find him and Cirrus as well. Oh, I should have known better than to have left my library unchecked for so long. Well, I've removed the remaining undamaged books from the library and placed them in their places of protection. You shouldn't have to use the books until I return, but if you've forgotten the access keys, remember the tower rotation. Oh, and don't worry, Catherine, everything will be fine. I'll see you shortly. Oh, and erase this message after you've viewed it, just to be safe.
Well, that was an interesting message. That must have been Atris. So he knows that somebody just destroyed all those books, which possibly means they might have been portal books. And he said, if you've forgotten the access keys, remember the tower rotation. That actually sounds like something worth following up on. Oh yes, you can actually sprint if you hold the shift key down. Now if we hold down the mouse button on this radar-like line starts to turn. I better check on that one that I missed. It's not quite as efficient as the zip mode, which lets you skip nodes, but it's close. Now, as to these pictures, I wonder something. Oldest trick in the book. No pun intended. So this must be the tower, and it's facing an empty wall, same for over there. But if you look closely, these ladders are on wheels, so maybe they rotate along with the rest of the tower. Now let's try it. Excuse me. Drawback of real-time 3D, getting stuck on geometry. And you see, this time it actually rotates to align to where we pointed the tower. And music is playing, so now we know it's important. And if you look closely, this is pointing out of those gears. And you would think these would mesh together, but they don't. It's almost more like something decorative. On this side is a key plaque, and it just said access key, so looks like 240 and 221. That must go to somewhere else on the island. And I think I can guess where, since that clock tower had a gear as its base. And before we start looking, I'll break it down for you guys. Each area around this island, the places of protection are where the undamaged books were put, and each one has a journal associated with it. This is where the fad started. Here it actually serves a sort of purpose, because this means we'll get to learn a little bit about the world we're going to go to. So the one for where we're going is actually this one. I'm not going to read all of it, I'm just going to highlight parts that are significant. So in this world, there was a city that sat on the water with 3 high hills. And one day pirates came and sacked it. until eventually the city just sunk under the water. And 10 years later, the pirates were returned to finish the job. So Atreus had a plan to build something to protect these people and stop the pirates. So they made collapsing stairways on the side. And Atreus put a holography device to help the survivors learn to use the fortress. And keep this in mind, this will be a map for where we're going. So this must be the fortress, and these are the hills that are now islands. And given this track, it looks like this whole thing rotates. Insignia of the Black Ships. Cyan actually made a t-shirt with this logo on it. So they fought off the pirates and everybody just celebrated. So to control this clock, this valve controls the minute hand. And this one for the hour hand. And oh look, it's morning already. Sorry about the lines around the edges, I can't help that. That's part of the engine. Now the 221 combination from the tower obviously refers to this. Actually, there, that's better. So this lever rotates the lower set of gears, and this one does the top. And that resets the mechanism. Now the trick that stumped a lot of players is that if you hold down the lever, the top one stops, but the middle keeps moving, and that's how you solve it. I thought this thing was decorative. It's cut in a 135 angle shape. So if this small gear opened, then maybe the large one on the other end did too. Yep. I always like these flyby animations across the series. It's always a nice scenic preview as to where you're going. The later ones in the series orbit around the actual area you'll be dropped off at. Off to the mechanical age. The smallest and simplest of the four. Well, that must be the fortress, and wait a minute. The book said the skies were always gray, black, and filled with thunderstorms. Why is the sky blue? The old man in the book mentioned the storms wouldn't end until the pirates were vanquished, so maybe somebody went back and finished the job. This is quite an opulent looking place. It's a throne and everything. Who would want a throne? Oh, and by the way, every picture in here was actually painted by real artists. I don't know all of them, but this one was Madame Motissier by the French artist Ingres. I can't pronounce that right. In 1856. And this one was Napoleon I on his throne, except the face is actually Cyrus's doctored onto it. How do I know? Because that's what the original one looks like. This item was meant to be a music box, but in the game files it was cut, but if you look through it in the files, you could see a photo of it open that was never used. That's kind of cute. These are just decorative. They just light up when your cursor is over them. Looks like crystals. But what you might not know is, if you look at this indentation in the wall, there's a secret passage in here. Somebody has collected a fair amount of loot. And if I know anything about pirates, then they had booty all the loaded up in their ship all the time. So maybe whoever owns this place took all their treasure after killing them off. They even got wine too. Cyrus, your greed sickens me. Your desire for wealth and plunder is never satisfied. I will instruct my subjects not to pay your new tax, and you'll know they'll listen to me. Regards, Akanar. Yes. These two guys were actually Atreus' sons, so it looks like they're off doing some sneaky business behind their daddy's back. So if Cyrus is the one with all the wealth, I wonder what this guy is hoarding. Well, there's another page for that red, technically pink book, so I guess we should grab it. And one thing I'll note about this, the Myst games as a whole are anti-inventory, so you can only carry one page at a time. Yes, and if you grab a different one, the first one goes back to where it started. This was fixed in the newest remake, so you could have both at once, but not this 2000s version. This game has two small worlds and two large ones. The small ones are really easy to just run through and get the other page, but the long run I would need a save game for, and luckily I have that for this part. Alright, so what's Akinar holding? Implements of war, it seems. Yep, I could definitely imagine this guy was more interested in all the tools the pirates had to kill off all the early survivors, so he must have taken those for himself. Oh, haha, snake in the box. What do we got here? Sorry, that shouldn't have happened. The cursor went funky and I backed out at the last minute. So this thing is a training tool on how to rotate this fortress. This lever is the brake, and this one actually does the rotating. Interesting sound, but okay. So each cardinal direction has a different sound. The first one was like a cowbell. That was a hiss, I guess. North is spoon, I guess. And west is rattle. Keep these in mind because since these are sound-based cues, there's no subtitles for them. Again, something that was rectified in the modern remake. Yeah, this thing is a bit finicky because of how jittery it is to move. I always liked the funnier sound in the original. Oh, and you can actually sit in these thrones too, but it's not much of a view to be proud of. Pretty good floor texturing for 25 years, I'll say that much. Okay then, it looks like this is Akinar's private torture chamber. Even a meat cleaver and everything. Yeah. What is this guy been up to? Oh nice, he makes poisons, not just drugs. That's not just a cage. This thing is electrified. I'm clicking repeatedly because the effect is really fast. So in the middle of the fortress is this cylinder that's probably another elevator shaft, but it's sealed. This game really tempts you into pushing random buttons, doesn't it? So this here is the base of the shaft. Oh, if I move this and I back up really quick, you can actually see it open. So now we're in the roof of the fortress. And this must be the mechanism that drives it. But the controls are all the way up there. Well, there's this middle button here. And it sets a timer, so if we step out... Alright, so there's no indicator for these actual controls, so you gotta watch carefully for how long these gears actually move, and then when you pull the brake, you'll hear the cue. Like that. So we want to turn the fortress 90 degrees, counterclockwise. Nope. Well, that's north, so let's try that. And since we've turned the whole fortress 180 degrees, we'll be able to see what that curtain was covering up on Akonar's side. He was looking out at a ship's mast with some poor guy tied up on it. Did they do that to them personally, or did the guy just, yeah, I won't say it. People just have a strange sense of interest sometimes. For a whole city to be in this whole area, it must have been pretty small, width-wise. Because imagine the scale of the whole thing. So on this pedestal is half of a code for that panel on the South Island. This part is pretty much busy work, but again, this is the shortest stage out of the 4, so it's not too complicated at least. There we go. I like this island a lot more than the other one because of this funky spiral staircase. The original version from 1993 had a glitch where sometimes the fortress would never rotate to this island at all. I suffered that. So there's the other half. Now I just need to get back over there. It's amazing what you don't think of when you're a kid. The finer implications of the story. So after I give Cirrus this page, I'm gonna link back here, run in, get the other page, and get back out. Oh, and I haven't sat in this throne yet, although I definitely wouldn't want to, because it's solid marble. Definitely a better view to be proud of. I'd like to know what author made this painting, because it's really nice, although it's definitely blurrier than the original. Okay, so the code was as follows. And one of my favorite tracks of the game is down here. For some reason, the destination image orbits facing up towards the chandelier of the library instead of the dock where we started. All the other books are going to do that. This remake is definitely the best of both worlds over the original because the Mac copy had full music and simultaneous sound effects, but the original Windows port would not only had music in the loops, too short for this, but it would also interrupt the sound effects just like Journeyman Project 1 did. Anyway. Oopsie.
Return. Thank you for bringing me red paint. You must continue. My name is Sirius. I beg you to find the remaining pages. You must release me from this book, which has become. I need more red pages, please. Beg. Don't waste time. Look. Don't. Brother. My brother is guilty.
So he's trying to peg the other one as guilty. So quickly go back in and get out. It's like when I'm running back through my house when I forgot my keys in my bedroom. So what do you have to say?
You've returned. You wouldn't return. Ages to rescue me. I'm Akinar. My brother, I beg you. To be complete. Always blue pages. Listen to him. Now listen to him.
Yeah, so what are you just more, the calm talk of a suave figure or the random babbling of an insane person? Neither sounds that honest. Well, now that that age is done, 1 down, 3 to go. And I think it'd be, just for the sake of timing on the stream, I should tackle one of the longer ones next. This time it's looking at the rocket. Ignore the flickering texture, please. So what do we need to get in there? $59 volts. So it needs power then. Let's see if I can catch this door opening fast enough. A fun factor about this, initially when in the concept stages, the linking books weren't initially the way to get to the world. Originally, the vehicles themselves would take you there, and after that, they actually would have used paintings, and these are just a holdover. So if they'd gone that route, they would have beaten Mario 64 to the punch by about 6 years. Anyway, the journal for this next world is this one. So this is an age with no inhabitants. So this world has no inhabitants, and it's plagued by a hot breeze. And then Atris had to bail because there was a meteor shower. And now it's just a barren desert land except for that one hill. And then one day, a volcanic chasm opened up in the ground. So we decided the best use of it was for geothermal power, it seemed. And not only that, but it also gave him access to a cavern system as well. One thing a lot of future entries in this series and the clones don't address is how the main characters were able to build so much stuff without any viable reasons to the plot of how they did it. Well, this entry here outright explains it. There was already iron and titanium ore in the world itself, and he had to get special tools for it. And although I didn't say it, this guy had other ages we haven't seen that actually had people in them, so it's not out of the question that he wouldn't have just gotten more manpower to build the stuff with. So we never know the details of how he built all that stuff because it vanished because of heat. Oh, and keep note of this code. It's going to be coming up in a bit. So I happen to know that the source of these volts is actually in this building, as these power lines run straight to it. Now, applying power isn't as straightforward as it seems, because each of these buttons generates a different level of voltage. So we have to find the right ones that add up properly to 59. Let's just try it at random. Close. This one went to 0. We must have tripped a breaker. It doesn't matter. As long as we can get the proper amount set at the source, we can just flip the breaker and it'll go there anyway. That'll do it. I should have read this first. So one of these two breakers is the one that flipped. Yep, that's the one. And now to probably the most infamous puzzle of this whole game. In order to access the linking book to the Selenitic age, we have to solve a sound puzzle. And we practice it with this organ. Now, if you remember the diagram, the code was as follows. Now me, I'm a whiz at playing by ear over notation. And in fact, I actually have a Casio keyboard next to me. I know a lot of people aren't as lucky as that, so they might have trouble setting what the notes are, because these sliders are very sensitive. The modern remake actually has little notches meant to mimic the piano keys. So, anyway. So you start with that one, go an octave higher, that would be D sharp, and then F, and finally, A sharp. Let's see if it's right. So instead of actually using the book, we touch the monitor it's displayed on instead, like some kind of remote access device. Can't really see much of what the age looks like because it's very foggy. So yeah, originally the beta version would have had like the actual rocket going to the world's moon or something. I know someone said that was in the developer files. So right here at this bunker is another panel of 5 sliders. But this time they're recordings of actual sounds. Maybe we'll find those sounds in the environment. Now, one perk of RealMyst here is that the original 1993 version had such little disk space for one CD that it was really hard to find out where you were supposed to go. So, like, there was no way to properly see this side unless you, like, clicked right here. So that's one other reason why I didn't do the original. A nice little haven for this age. It looks like some kind of radar dish and with a microphone over some kind of spring. Click this, it lights up, and so does the light on this microphone, so I guess now it's recording and broadcasting the sound of water. That must be the chasm. I was afraid of these sounds when I first played the original version. But I'm sure any kid would be scared of a noise like this. Looks like lava down there. Oh, and to anyone new in the audience, excuse the cuts to the desktop that you might see later on, because I can't change the sources remotely through OBS because this program locks out the number keys, I'm afraid. I'll definitely edit that out in YouTube. Well, looks like there's a central radar tower right in the middle of this new crater lake. A broken clock, it looks like. And wait a minute. Cirrus had a model of this clock in his throne room. Huh. A little trivia. In the original Making a Myst video, Chris Brandkamp, the sound designer, had mentioned that in order to make the chime for this tower, he took a Craftsman 7/8" wrench, tapped it, and then lowered the sound volume. It was really interesting how creative Cyan was with their sound design back then, just like Presto Studios was with Journeyman. So this is like a cluster of crystals, it seems. Let Let me compare it to the other versions I know. This is the original version. And this one is from the modern remake. Think what you will to the designs, but personally I just think it's too visually oversaturated. And there's the red page, really sneaky. I do like the sound. It's almost like a beer bottle effect. This next sound, out of all the effects in this age, this one, I don't know why, it creeps the hell out of me as a kid. Nowhere to go but down. Aw, bats! I like bats, they're cute. Man, it's really dark. At least they give you these lights on the stairs. So we're in the middle of the lake, and everything's arranged on like an arc. So this is the puzzle. We need to align each of these radar dishes with the stationary ones on the mainland. Each one of them has a camera attached to them based on their height. It taps out at 360, so these are meant to be degrees. It's almost like tuning a radio. And you need to make sure that the dish aligns exactly in these crosshairs around the screen, and these buttons tell you how close you are. Oh, okay, so water's locked in. This is actually my favorite puzzle in the game, by the way. Because if I made the new remake, I would have slipped in some kind of cryptic number station broadcast or something ARG related like that. You know, like what they did with Portal 1. We don't really need to do the last one, but for posterity, I'll do it anyway. And now I'll show why I did the main reason I didn't do the original. 1 second. due to CPU usage speeds on Sheepshaver, there was no way to actually control it because the CPU speed was too fast. Just like that stupid trackball. It was never that quick on the original Power Macintosh I used. So now that everything's aligned, we can click this Greek Sigma button. No, not the Gen Alpha word, the Greek letter Sigma. Learn your Greek, kids. It'll help you. And in this case, it means the mathematical symbol of sum. So this would mean the sum of the sounds. One more time. Stone Forest. Oasis. Tunnel. Chasm. Clock. Oh, and fun fact, in this version, you can actually see that the dishes are pointing to where you aim them at, instead of just being randomly positioned in a pre-rendered node. It actually was this foggy in the original version too. This version RealMyst, I feel like this version is the closest there is to the original compared to the graphical overhauls of the newer ones. Anyway. Keep this sound in mind, we might hear it somewhere else. Now into the cave system. So this is the Maze Runner. It's a magnetic tram that runs on rails. The design was actually inspired by a pufferfish in The Little Mermaid. Chuck Carter said so in the making of video. This is one of the few areas where you can circle around an object both here and in the original. The windscreen is much, much larger compared to that version. You gotta wonder how many people Atris had to get help from to build all this stuff. The original version of this ship even had a tiled floor instead of a metal one for some reason. Nice window out the back, and time to take a seat. I know what you're thinking. Are we gonna crash into the wall? Nah, it'll just take us down first. Now to the first maze I ever endured. Once again, we have the same sound cues from the mechanical age, and we can repeat them with this button. That's why I went there first. Well, it says north, so let's go north. So yeah, it actually hovers over the tracks. That one's west. I'll give him credit, this is faster than the original version, which relied on QuickTime movies in a QuickTime movies in a windshield this tiny. Now east. Without that cute boingy version I liked from the original. Making some turns here. It is possible to brute force through these sounds without going to the mechanical age, but it takes a lot longer. And in fact, there's a lot of dead ends. And even the Miller brothers were surprised that people mapped it out. They thought the sounds were obvious. Now it's getting tricky. That's south and west. I'm just commenting to fill time. You know, I've always wanted to make my very own Myst clone. And whenever I add a sound puzzle to that, I'll make sure it's accessible. The problem is there aren't any engines out there for pre-rendered nodes. Last one. Looks like the finish line. Wow, we can actually look at this train station. Magnetic levitation is actually something that comes up in the sequel Riven. So it must be a pretty common technology here. And out to the only music track in this age. Okay, I've seen a lot of grand rooms in the Myst series, but I gotta say, this, for a linking book, is complete overkill. I'd half expect these panels to flip back and show giant fans. I'd expect this place to actually be some kind of missile silo. Oop, pardon the textures there. Now, the only way to get the other page would be to do the whole maze over again, but in true fashion, I have a save for that.
Have returned. Additional page. Free from my prison on this forgotten island of Myst. I see that you are. I am called Sears. I need all the red pages. I know. Must search and bring.
Fun fact, these are the only books in the series with color-coded pages. All the others are standard paper. I've actually looked for frame lamps like this in real life. They go for like $70 a piece.
He returned.
If I screw up, there's actually a way to speed run the game. It's actually not necessary, but I think I might be able to squeeze in one more age. I think this might be one of the cases where a save game backfired on me. Well, I can just make it up off screen after this part and catch back up. Messing up in a game this simple is a lot more forgiving than a certain guitar game was. So this time, we'll be visiting the ship. So, we need to reference 3 dates and 3 times. And I think I know where that can be done. And no, I'm not interested in speed running. I feel that's not what my hobby is about. I'm into games to absorb the contents. Fun fact, Send and Twitch. They invent a whole different calendar and number system from the sequel onward. So these plot elements are kind of... For some reason, they never made a remake that caught up with those changes. I'm gonna go check the clock tower one more time. Just to make sure it's open. While we're here, if you look up in this corner, somebody named Doug put their name in the top of this ceiling. It's not as impressive as the modern remake, which actually shows all sorts of gears leading all the way up, like Shady Paradox wanted. Interesting medallion here. Is this Island's private dentist office? No, it's a mini planetarium. Oh, and here's some trivia for you. What you're hearing is the version of the soundtrack that was used for the official album you can get right now, but the original game had some differences in a couple of tracks. And here is one of... This place has one of them. Why they use different music, I don't know. Oh yes, one thing you might not know is that this remake is the only one that has special Easter eggs in it. Some of them are spoilers, but I'll show one that isn't. You start by setting the month to May and the year to 1978, and the time to wherever the clock is positioned. Maybe it was just midnight. There it is! In this version of Myst, you can actually play Pong! And you control the left paddle with the time slider. Of course, there's no score count or anything, you just have to do it till you get bored. The months and the year are a reference to the year Pong was released to the public. Anyway. Okay, this year slider is absolutely ridiculous. All the way to year 9999. Like H.G. Wells' Time Machine. Actually, wait. I got some trivia. Yeah, I always have, but this one is really good. Dang it, cursor. This date is meant to be today's date in the game. I only know this because of a calculation I made from the sequel, which uses a different date system. So these three dates actually land on a distinct constellation. Keep this in mind. This one looks like a leaf. This one's meant to be a snake. And finally, who would even think that this date was singled out? And this one's meant to be a bug. And they skipped over the relevant journal. Oh, you can actually see the text on this one. It says the Stone Shape Age. So this world was a cluster of rocks, and 3 boys named Emmett, Branch, and Will lived there. So Atreus actually wrote an entire ship into this world by editing the book. Except it collided with one of the rocks and got stuck to it. It's almost like adding code to a program, it would seem. Kind of a crazy thing to think you're altering reality by writing in a book. And the image that you use to teleport there is the feedback of what you wrote. And the 3 boys weren't used to rain, and suddenly it started raining. And they built a lighthouse. They were there when he got there, those boys. Because it seems like they can edit the environment, but not the people in it. It's just a result of what the writing does. There's actually a debate as the series goes on as to some people think they create these worlds entirely and they get a god complex from it, and others just think they're connecting to existing worlds somewhere in the universe. There's a diagram for it. So the ship has the stern is stuck here and the bow is stuck here, and I think the mainsail is over, the mast is over here. And apparently the lighthouse sank because it was built on a loose rock. Alright, constellations. So this one, and this one. And you want to be quick. We raised the whole ship. And the model rose too. I like the swimming pool effects on the sides. So in this tiny little cabin is the linking book, and there's even a cute little ceiling fan. These devices are so mesmerizing, especially to young kids. As you can tell, something's not right with this age either. It's storming all over. The movement box for this cursor is really limited. Oh yeah, something's definitely gone wrong here. Sounds like some kind of pump. So it looks like Atris built some kind of pump into the crow's nest to drain water out of one of 3 areas at a time. Oh. This must be the... Well, this is even more impressive. But there's a problem. It's too dang dark. Oh yeah. In that same making video, they also mentioned that the bubble effects in the original were, well... Never mind, I can't say it on a Safe for Work channel. Just that Chris Brandkamp didn't like doing it. They had to use a tube and blow water. They had to make bubbles in a toilet with a tube. Similar to what the German project did with holding a mic over a bathtub. Homemade sound effects are a lot more interesting than stock sound effects. Jesus, wow, this lighthouse has seen better days. It's like the whole thing just sunk halfway into the ground. If you ever wanted to know where Sierra got the idea for their... No, they weren't using it. It was clear in the video. They showed it. Anyway, this whole area is probably what inspired Sierra to make their own Myst clone called Lighthouse. This is where they got the idea from. In that game, we had to bash the padlock off with a crowbar, but here it's not so easy. Strangely, there's no door down here. I don't think they remembered that. Treasure chest. And it was filled with water. So if we seal that, it should have air in it now. It should be able to float. And there it is. Now I'm just going to show off a goof for fun. We're actually holding the key, but if we step out of this window, it falls in the water because we dropped it. Spiral staircases are dizzying in this game. Anyway, there's the key. And both of them just fall to the bottom. Now to an annoying part of this age. In order to navigate those tunnels in the rock, we have to power up this generator. So this battery is going to drain, so we need to work fast. And now that the power's on, the top of the lighthouse is actually flashing. This too was messed up by CPU speeds in the original version. So keep this in mind, the top of the lighthouse is at 135 degrees. Another room claimed by Sirius. And by the way, there's a bug where going into the cabin of the ship first carries the bubble effects down to a certain depth. Something about this opulence just seems too good to be true. Oh, and O'Reilly, if you're watching, this is the original version that was read in the modern remake. It's like a four-sided painting of some kind of fort. That's one heck of a sculpture. Okay, it looks like we found Sirius's dope drawer. It's never a good sign when someone who's rich is also a narcotics abuser. These look like globes of some kind. I wonder where this coat of arms came from. Oh yeah, in the remake, instead of a dresser, it's a dinner cabinet because it's all built around VR controls instead of point and click. It's like, dinnerware for the table, I guess? Hey, I've seen this before. This looks like a scarf that belonged to the Black Pirates. So this means both Cirrus and Achenar had a hand in killing them off. There was actually a comic book released by Dark Horse Comics showcasing that event, but the brothers were so out of character there that Cyan demanded they cancel it. They didn't even look like the versions in this game. What's in here? Well, this is quite an ominous feeling place. The compass. I wonder, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Well, great. Alarms. And it fully killed the power, too. I told you this generator was annoying. These doors do open even when the power is off. Wow. Lovely decor. Who in their right mind would sleep on a bed this dirty? A lantern built out of a spine and a human ribcage. Nice. I do like the effect of how they're casting shadows on the wall here. Another holoprojector. Showing a rose, and it turns into a skull. And this one actually stays on, but because it's a 2D image, it always faces you no matter which angle you stand from. Uru does that too with its projectors. And here are a whole bunch of different maps. You can see them more clearly in the original. My theory is that these would have been like other ages these guys conquered. Half of a note for... I'm not gonna do that thing of talk as if my audio is cut. I'm just gonna remember that for later. I might have a Photoshop of the whole thing in part 2. Alright, so the telescope said the lighthouse was at 135 degrees, and if we know angles, that would actually be here, which is also southwest. So if we click this, the underwater lights are now on. Definitely would be a nice place to sit and relax. This is much better. Well, no wonder Sears has a portrait of Napoleon then. It all clicks together. For the year 2000, these underwater effects aren't that bad. So where is the Myst linking book back exactly? Well, you'll never guess this. Yep, it just forms out of the table. The modern remake does a more sensible thing and just has a secret compartment.
Have returned. Additional page.
And before we end this part, I'm going to show one more Easter egg. We'll cover this area in part 2, but for now I want to enter this code. This Easter egg is a tribute to the submarine, the USS Torsk, or SS-423. And if we click this, we suddenly have what's meant to be a gun in front of our face. It's one of 2 tributes to an April Fool's joke Cyan made in 2000, where they would have made a multiplayer first-person shooter called Myst Mayhem, almost like Team Fortress 2. I'll show the other one in part 2. For now, I think I'll just end here, and I'll pick up the slack I accidentally loaded out of, so everything will be ready on the next date, and hopefully that special computer I'm trying to build will be complete. See you then.